right. Are you on green screen or that's your room? It's a nice room.
No, it's not a green screen. It's an office, and we are recording now. Episode
Now.
24 of the Bolo Pascual show. Welcome to today. We have a very special guest. We have Aljor Perreras, a person that I learned a lot from when I was a teenager. And I would just like you to introduce yourself a little bit further.
Don't say it like that. Makes me older.
Got it. Sorry.
You could just say recently. Yeah. So what did you want me to say?
Oh
Want
no,
me to say anything?
well, just, the first thing is just introduction. Who you are, what are you up to?
Well, yes, I'm. What would I say? I'm a global coach and a consultant in leadership development and used to lead a lot of personal development, but now more leadership development and corporate work. So, and I live here in the Philippines, and also recently I was living in Bangkok, so I shuttled back and forth between here and Bangkok. But now since the COVID, I actually just came back in March for a 2 week vacation, and here I am in September, still in the same place. So I'm now making things work with the way things are, and fortunately, this Zoom has really created new possibilities in doing the kind of work that I used to do face to face in a room full of people,
Mm.
and so it's good. I mean, and this conversation we're having right now, it's kind of like one of those iterations,
Mhm.
and so thanks for inviting me.
Would you consider yourself as a high performance coach?
A high performance coach, that would be one aspect of it, yes. But really, I would see myself more as a transformational coach. It's really the whole thing, really shifting people's view of life and of themselves and others, and of course in the process, um, performance is impacted, relationships are impacted, leaderships are impacted. So, but it's not just performance coach. Although there's an aspect of what I do that is strictly for performance. Excuse me.
That's okay.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say to the audience that when I was in high school, when I was buddies with Alger,
You were
drinking.
in high school then?
Yeah, I was in high school back then.
Wow.
It's been
Okay.
it's
All
been
right.
11 years. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And I just want to just share really quickly that before I thought my life as a high school student is go to school and go home and just that's my life. But then after with a lot of conversations with Alger, I realized that I could start doing like having my life now. So I started selling like comic books, which me and my friends produced, play bars in like gigs all around Metro Manila and all that stuff. So I just want to attribute some of my my life perspective shifts to you because I think like you started that, and we're here to really talk about.
Thanks.
Um, well, for me, what I do is talk to amazing people and learn from them, and I just want to share it to. I give them a platform to share it with other people, and based on
Mm,
the current situation and like I don't know political climate and what people are going through. I've been hearing initiatives. You're starting an initiative from Mon and from Honey and from a couple of other people about this initiative called the Third Conversation. And it's a
right.
Facebook page that I saw that you invited me to, and I'd love to know more about it. So what is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So let me just kind of give you a bigger picture first. I mean, my work really is about shifting people's consciousness in a way that they see themselves bigger and they see themselves as part of the whole, and therefore that they actually have an impact in a bigger picture, at a societal level, national level, and also in the world, right? So my work is to really empower people so that they can be that kind of human being that actually makes a difference and contribute. So I look for ways to get that message out to as many platforms as possible. I mean, for a long time, it's always been, face to face in rooms full of people, and me having conversation with people. But because of the advent of technology, and also because of the situation that we're in right now, we're looking at, or I'm looking at, uh, media, different kinds of media like YouTube, and like what you're doing, podcasts and things like that, and just to reach a different group of people. So yeah, I try to get on as many different platforms as possible. Well, with regards to the third conversation, about 3 years ago, uh, we had a dinner with some friends, and in that conversation, we sort of pointed out that a lot of our friends, right, that we knew, who were, in a way, we could say they're enlightened, they have a pretty open mind, are very polarized and sort of against each other because of the political climate that we're in right now, right? And that, to a point where, people, like unfriending each other, not talking to each other anymore, things like that, which was very disturbing for me.
Mm.
And at that evening, I just, in passing, I said, the conversation that's been around, if we look at our history here in the Philippines, is basically, who's right and who's wrong. And although, people vacillate, switch sides depending on who is, the administration, or who's the authority, or who the players are, it kind of remains the same. It's either I make you right, and I make you wrong, make myself right, and then when it's your time, you do the same thing, right? So it's just those two kind of conversations. So I said, we should have a third conversation, about, hey, like, what's possible, and what can we create? What's going to work? And so that was 3 years ago, and then lately, because of uh, more conversations with these group of people, with Honey and Francis, and Wang and Arby, we said, hey, we should have this, we should create this conversation on YouTube or Facebook, where, we just get together every week. We've been getting together every week, just having conversations about, you know how we can impact society, specifically our nation, our country, right? And one of the things that I see missing is that we aren't living into a future, an empowering future. Nobody's creating that conversation. Nobody's leading a conversation to what's possible for the future. Everything is pretty much dealing with, what's happening right now, and most importantly, we're dealing with what's happened in the past. We're still talking about who screwed up, who. Can I cuss here?
Yeah, of course, of course. Free speech.
Okay. Like everybody's like pointing at each other, pointing blame, like who fucked up, right? That's kind of like the conversation.
Mhm.
And when somebody else has the platform, their voice gets louder about who screwed up, and I'm doing better now, that kind of stuff. But nobody's talking about, what future can we all create together, and what future can we create as a nation. And
Mm.
so I said, well, we should have that conversation. We should create that conversation that happens every week, and maybe, have invite some people once in a while to join us, some key players in society, and basically provide a different perspective. I mean, we could take on different points of view without being right,
Mm.
and without being entrenched about that point of view, so that people can hear, different points of view about the same issue, and then they can decide, and then create a context of, it's not about looking for who is right here or who's a
Mm.
better debater, but really, if you look at all the perspectives, what's really going to work? If we look at the bigger picture, if we look at, the Philippines as a whole, and all the people, including the most marginalized,
Mm.
not just a small group of people, what's going to work, and what's really possible. So, that's what the third conversation about is, really going, looking at certain issues. And it's a lifestyle channel, so we're going to look at, as many issues as possible, from politics to, entertainment, sports, arts, religion, sex in the Philippines, those kinds of things, right?
Mm.
Because I think it's time that we actually bring things on the table and just have a dialogue. Just
Mm.
have a dialogue so that we don't hide things, we don't make things taboo, and to the degree that we don't deal with it, if we shove it under the rug, we can't deal with it.
Mm.
But if it's out here in the open and with different voices adding in to their perspective, maybe we can find something that will work. Maybe we can create a different kind of future than the way it is, because the way we've been going. I mean, if you look at the past 100 years, ever since we got away from the Spaniards, you know, it's been kind of the same. Is whoever's in power makes the old people in power wrong, and then switch, and then it's the same conversation, right? and nothing's making any difference. And I think we need to create a different possibility. So, you could say the third conversation is a conversation for possibility.
Mm.
It's a conversation for what's going to work, right?
What do you feel are the barriers from us having healthy discourse? Because eventually, like we're gonna disagree. I mean, if we're all thinking the same thing, like nobody's really thinking.
Yeah,
So for
yeah,
societies to evolve, I believe that like disagreements are good. It's just a matter of whether the disagreement is a healthy one or not. And what do you think
yes,
is the barrier from having like healthy discourse and having that dialogue?
yeah. Well, for one thing, people think that they are their ideas, right? They're connected to their point of view rather than they have a point of view. You see this? I have a phone, right? But
Mm.
I'm not my phone. Okay, but most people think, oh, I have a point of view or I have an idea, but they think they are their ideas. So when you present something and they present something else that is contradictory to your idea, I'm contradicting you personally. It's an attack on you. So therefore, I would have to attack me back. You would have to attack me back. And so then we stop listening to each other, right? So there's no people aren't having any dialogue. People are just vomiting their ideas and their points of view and say, listen to me, this is how it should be, rather than, okay, let me hear what you have to say. Why do you think that way? And let me actually listen and see if I can see something there that I never seen before, right? And that's never happened yet, where people are just really having a discourse, a dialogue, and actually listening to each other, setting aside their opinions, setting aside their judgment, and setting aside all their habitual what habitual uh, habitual judgments, habitual assumptions, and the things that they live as if is true to them, right? So people are stuck. People are stuck and they're entrenched, and we stopped listening to each other, right?
My question is, so if someone disagrees with you, like how would you approach
Yeah.
that situation?
Well, then I would say, why do you disagree? Let me hear your point, and then why do you think that? Okay, where that, like, I want to understand where you're standing from, that you're looking at the world that way, or you're looking at this issue this way. And yeah, and that I get it, and that your point of view is valid. Okay,
Mm.
it is valid, and so is mine. So given that we have two different points of view, okay, now we focus on the issue. We focus on the thing that we're talking about. What's going to work for that thing? Now, are we
Mm.
willing? Am I willing to give something up, and you're willing to give something up, to really look for what's going to work and what's going to work best, right?
Mm.
And it's gonna take a while. I mean, we have to really um, like himayin yung conversation, and you know uh, and dig really deeper. But most people just react because we're
Mm.
so emotionally attached to certain things that I can't even listen to you. I mean, um, just the biggest thing right now for me that I see that's so uh, obvious here is like how politically we're so polarized. It's the same thing happening in the U.S., right? That's why we have all these problems. But the moment I think you're Dilawan or you're DDS, immediately I have a filter already, and I can't even listen to what you have to say, and whether it's valid or not, right? And I have to be willing to make mistake. I have to be willing to say, you know what? I never thought about it like that. Okay. Now I can still hold on to my opinion, but I got to be willing to listen to other people's points of view, and then really intend to create workability. Okay. I don't know the answer,
Mm.
but it begins there. It begins there. We haven't really looked at issues from that perspective. You can see people are simply just arguing all the time.
Mm. So after the the arguments of like sharing the different types of point, like sharing the different points of view, like what do you think
Yeah.
is the next step to that? Like, so assuming that people listen to each other, uh,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's like it's a question of like who would lead the country best, and there's always gonna be like one winner. Like I'm just foreshadowing like 2022. So
Yeah.
how do we evolve the conversation from okay, I think this is a better candidate versus your candidate. And if it's your candidate who wins, it's your fault why the
Yeah.
country sucks. What is the next step?
Well, I mean, I have a view about that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
again, this is my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think it's more complex than that. To to really look at it from that perspective is kind of short sighted. Okay, I think one of the things that we need to, and I'm committed to really create, is that people are more discerning in who to put in office, right? And we need to demand, as a people. Okay? We need to, collectively, we need to demand who the best people are. And I don't know the steps politically to make that happen, but I think if people are more awake and we just don't continue doing what we've always done, which is, living like not there's so much apathy, and there's so, like I said, there's no future, so people are like apathetic about, well, wala rin mangyayari eh. That's just gonna be that's always gonna be the way it is, right? So because they don't see something, they don't see. As a matter of fact, they don't even see beyond their lifetime, right? If I can't do anything now, then forget about it. As a matter of fact, we even say, that's their game. And for a long time, I know that because I was like that, because when I first came here, right? Um, when I first moved here, I had this view that, hey, that's not really my issue because I'm not really from here. I shouldn't even be involved in that, and I shouldn't even put in my 2 cents. But it's not true, and I think everybody should be thinking that way, and everybody should be looking at who. And it begins. It doesn't start at the election. It begins way before that. Right? Like who do we put in our local offices, and how do we develop these people who are eventually going to lead our country? And it might take a long time. It's not about dealing with what's going to happen in 2022. It's too late for that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
where there are already systems in place that what's going to happen there is what's going to happen. But I'm looking more in the future. How do we educate young people? How do we educate people such that this is something that's important to them? That this is something that really matters, and not just say, okay, hey, wala akong magagawa dyan. That's the way things will always be. Okay, that kind of apathy, creates this situation. So I mean, that's the way I would answer that question, and it's not so simplistic and say, oh, then we should do this, because it's quite complex.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the way is really people getting really involved, from at the grassroots level, like really demanding from the people that are going to run our country, our city, our province, that they actually are for the people. And I don't know how that looks like yet, but we need to not be apathetic and not be so resigned that we can't do anything about it, right? And so that's sort of my intention, is to create a conversation where, hey guys, come on, wake up. It is possible. It may not happen in my lifetime, but it could be your children or your children's children, and that will alter. But we need to start now, right?
My thoughts about that, I mean, the way I see it happening is that
Mm,
regardless of who's in office, even if it's someone who you are against, at the end, the citizenry understands that they are collective, that even if
mm,
you're the president is someone that you agree with, you're still holding
mm.
the person to account, even if you're in
Yes,
a political party. And
yes,
Filipinos seeing the Filipino first rather than the color of their politics. That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
secondary thing.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. It's people being being in demand that the people that serve are actually there to serve. And how's that going to happen? What's it going to take? That's the question that we need to be asking, right? Because I don't have the answer for that. I just know that it's what I know is that we need to shift the way we see things. We need to shift who we are being as a collective. Now, instead of, so resigned and cynical that nothing is ever going to be possible, we need to say, you know what, you know, I'm mad as hell and I can't take this anymore. Things ought to change, and whoever's going to be there, uh, they know they have to serve the people, and we are demand for that, and we do whatever it takes, and also make sure that the rule of law happens, and when people are elected, that everybody's, e- even if we're losers, we need to empower the people in the office. Yeah, create a different kind of relationship. It's like, I've only been here for less than 20 years now, but pretty much every time somebody wins, the losers, they spend the whole time that the president, that particular president is in office, they're tearing them down, right? And how do you function when half of the country is staring you down? And at some point, you would be pissed off too, and we're gonna attack back. So I don't know, but we need to, as a collective, empower the system at play. Including the people that are, like you said, that are not our color, right?
Mhm.
And it's gonna take a shift in the kind of conversation that we have as a
Mhm.
people, right?
What's your perspective in terms of where do you draw the line in terms of empowering them and supporting them versus
Mhm.
holding them accountable? Or
Well, it's if you look at it if you look at it from the perspective of integrity, right? From our conversations, it's black and white. There are things that they promise, and there are things that are legal, and therefore, you only judge them based on those things, not whether you like them or not, whether they should be this way or should be that way, but whether if you look at the office comes with certain promises, right?
Mhm.
And are they doing that? Okay, are they acting consistent to that? Then that's you hold them account when they're not. And then what they said when they were campaigning, are they doing that? Are they honoring their word, or are they breaking their word? Then if they're breaking their word, they're honoring, then we as a people hold them to account for that. But don't hold them to account for an expectation or a point of view, or because you think they should be acting a certain way, and you're adding a lot of like moral judgment and value judgment. No, it's simply black and white integrity. What's the law? What's the role, right? And what did they say? And that's, see, because we are electing them based on what they said. Okay? What they're saying is a promise to the people, right? And so we can hold them to account if they, once they get in, they're not doing what they said. And then that's the holding to account part needs to be the whole collective. Okay. And again, what's gonna how is it going to change, or what is necessary, what's going to be the difference that I can hold, like if you are my color, right? that I would still hold you to account when you're not doing what you said, or when you're not doing what the role requires you to do as per the legal aspects of this whole thing, right? But I can't turn. I should not turn myself away because you're my color,
Mm.
right? Right. So that would be something that could make a difference if people are really relating to people as the distinction of their accountability rather than the color of their political um, sides, right? So, and I know it's going to be a difficult thing to happen, but I think it's possible,
Mm.
and it begins with really, I don't know, really shifting how people see things. And I think we have to shift how we see ourselves. That we have to say now, look, this is enough. This is enough. We demand that people who we put in office to serve us actually serve us and serve the Filipino people, and and serve the country. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I see and I also feel is that that involves a lot of growth from the individual.
Yeah.
In terms of like even if these are the things that I see in the news, all that stuff, it's still about taking accountability for what I can do. And that, I mean, it's all in great. Like if people like do decide, all right, like I'm gonna take initiative, I'm gonna be like Aljor and
Yeah.
stuff. What do you think? Like how do we address people who are disgruntled? Because it's like from either side, I really think their own experiences and points of views are valid. Um,
Right.
and everybody's just so disgruntled. And I don't know, from a perspective of an individual, like there are people who I just really disagree with, and then they're just really angry. Do I just like ignore it and share or like share my 2 cents and say, hey, this is why I disagree? But what happens is that there's like my experience is that I get involved in a spiral of this negativity, or like spiral of like just wanting to let them know my point of view. But at the same
Yes.
time, it's just like if that's how I feel, probably most likely that's also how they feel. And it just becomes
Yes.
a cycle of just like you suck, I'm right, you're wrong, all that stuff.
I-
And like
ex- exactly, exactly, and like you said, there needs to be a transformation in who we are, right? There needs to be a transformation in the individual,
mm.
and you know,
And how do we access that like from a dialogue online?
online.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and I'm looking for the same thing. I don't
Mm.
have the answers. I have a lot of questions.
Got it. I, I
Right?
like that.
I
One of
Yeah, it's
the
like,
mhm.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I mean, one of the authors that I read right now is Yuval Noah Harari, and one of the things that he said is that we don't have to agree on the answers, but we can agree on the questions. And I think
Yeah, yeah,
that was an awesome statement that brought some level of clarity to me because, yeah, like we wouldn't know the answers yet, but if we know that a question is productive, then maybe we can move
yes,
forward closer to a goal. So rather than saying like who
yeah,
is worse, which is like for me is an unproductive discussion, I think a productive question would be what is our common goals and what would be the next baby
yeah.
step towards that common goal.
Yes, and I mean, first of all, what is our common intention, right? Are we aligned with the intention, or are we just totally? Because if you and I have two different intentions, then we can argue for until the end of days, and we can never meet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we have the same intention, and then we kind of scale back from there and say, okay, look, if that's your intention, then what needs to happen for that to happen, and what needs to happen for this to happen, such that that happens, and those kinds of questions. And I think if you ask all these angry people, right? They, I say, I'm hopeful that everybody is committed that this country works. Okay, and I'm committed that you know They're committed that the Filipinos actually live a life, a kind of quality of life that's that's at par with the rest of the, well, at least the rest of the
Mm.
developed world, right? And I think it's just the way in which we approach it is we have different points of view to do that.
Mm.
And I'm, of course, I'm not discounting the fact that there are others who don't think that way. They are just there for an opportunity to line their pockets and things like that, for their own selves. But I'm talking about generally the rest of us, right?
Mm.
And the rest of us have the power to create our own future. And I think that's what we need to really get. Like, shoot, there's 100 million people, and that's the 100 million people. If they actually all get aligned, that hey, you know what? No, we're gonna now demand what's gonna be great for this country, for this nation, and for its people. And then, so like those are the kind of questions, right? What would it take? What would it take? How do we educate our people? What kind of education are we gonna give our people? What kind of conversations are we gonna keep in place, such that an environment like that can be nurtured, can be created and nurtured and implemented. Okay, those are the kind of questions. How do we? What needs to be altered? So when you're looking at that, then you might see some gaps. What's missing here that could make a difference if that happens? Right. So
If,
it's not a quick fix,
mm.
right? I mean, look, if like I said, I've been here now for almost 20 years. Something could have been done in those 20 years if somebody provided leadership to really alter something. And a lot of people are creating those initiatives. There's a lot of people who are really committed that this place works, and I just want to empower that conversation. And like I said, I don't have the answers, but I have a direction, and I have the questions that I want to ask everybody. And if people engage in those questions, maybe we see something that we've never seen before.
Mm.
Another
So what's the next
possibility.
baby step for you moving forward? Like, for example, this week or this month? Like, what's a
Oh
step
well,
towards your vision?
this week I have two channels. I just started. So this third conversation is one channel. This is with a group of friends, as you know them, right? And then I have my own, which just started a couple of months ago, and I haven't had the time to put a lot of videos in it. I have maybe four videos in there. It's called Shift 101, and basically that channel is about really shifting people's consciousness. So I talk about um, leadership. I talk about how we look at our point of view, and how we can alter our points of views, and being able to listen and things like that. um, and at the same time, I'm also now beginning to do my consulting for organizations. So that's more my I guess my work, right? So the third conversation and Shift 101 is more my passion projects. But I'm working with I'm currently working with an organization right now in Thailand, really all recreating their culture, the company's culture, and it's a long-term program, and I want to create those kinds of programs here in the Philippines with some of the larger organizations that we have, and that's my way of also transforming people through business, through the business. Yeah. So.
Well, that's a good segue to our next discussion, which is
Mm.
um, generally coaching, and
Mm.
this is something that I've been super curious to talk to you about when it comes to
Yeah.
transformation, high performance coaching, um, and growth and self development in general. And
Right.
I've been experiencing lately, and similar to other people who have been taking seminars and all that stuff, is that they get targeted by ads. So like the
Yes.
thing is like this dude saying, "Hey, what's up? Like, why are you not rich? Here are my cars, all that stuff." And then enroll
Yes.
in my course, and you'll be rich like me someday, whatever. And then I will
Right.
like make you shift your mentality, your state,
Right.
all these like regurgitated stuff from Tony Robbins' books.
Right.
My experience, because I think like, and I've been being targeted by those, and I just think that they're like growth and self development is for me is the name of the game in terms of like how I want to live my life and all that stuff. And there are
Yes.
a lot of people who are offering those types of services and seminars and all that stuff. Um,
Right.
but then there's an ongoing conversation in different online communities saying that there are fake gurus or like whatever gurus or like cults and all that stuff. And how my question is like, how do we distinguish a person who's legit versus a person who's not? Or is that a productive perspective to see those types of ads that are being targeted to us?
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of charlatans out there, and opportunists, because that, like you said, this is kind of like the game, right? It's people developing themselves, and people see that as an opportunity, and they kind of pounce on it. So there's so many coaches that are coming up, and I have a view about that, and that, I mean, obviously there are some legitimate people out there, but for the most part, if you're being targeted on a sponsored ad by one of these, I mean, you're a number, you're a statistic, right? And that algorithm doesn't really care what you're looking for. I mean, the copywriter really creates this beautiful thing that applies to as many people as possible to get as many registrations as possible for the business. Um, it's buyer beware. That's my thing, and I think my advice for people is that if they're dealing with something, they research and see who has track record and who has done this, and talk to people who um, have worked with those people, and really get personal about looking for somebody who's going to coach you on a developmental level personally. um, you know I have to tell you, the whole self-help industry, it's like, to me, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it because it's created first of all from a disempowering context,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, do you want to change? Do you want to fix and change yourself? I have the answer for you,
Mm-hmm.
and people are so vulnerable that they can be coerced into doing things like that, taking things like that on. And I like, my thing is that talk to people. If you are looking for somebody, talk to people and make sure that you personally are um, involved and ask questions. And because the algorithm now, especially on Facebook, man, I get so many myself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen. I have taken courses myself, but not personal development, but all more like technical stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to do all this stuff for YouTube and things like that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking courses like that, online marketing and things like that. But all the other ones, some of them, they're just like you said, regurgitating things, and they just westernize what Lao Tzu said, or what all these philosophers in the past have said, and make it look like it's current. And it's like, ooh, it's so enlightening. There's a um there's a guy online. I don't know if you know him already. His name is CoffeeZilla. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
look for him, and you would love his videos, because
No.
he he's really like going after all these guys, all these
Mm-hmm.
fake gurus and all
Like
this
Dan
stuff. And
Locke, I've seen his videos.
oh, oh yeah, yeah, like everybody is like, I watch him, and I'm laughing all the time, because sure enough, it's like, it's crazy, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they prey on people who are vulnerable, and they prey on people who are desperate, are in need of something, and like, this is the last hope. And which is really sad, because that's so opportunistic, right? And that's kind of the dark side of this whole self-improvement thing, right? And for me, my contention with that is, I'm never been a fan of self-improvement, because self-improvement is fix and change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the more you try to fix and change something, the more things stay the same, which kind of builds the whole industry. And the more see, fixing and changing never leaves you satisfied. And so when you're not satisfied, you keep looking for more. And that which you, well, Werner Erhard said before, that which you seek will never satisfy you if you can't
Mm-hmm.
be with the way things are, right? And if people can coach people from a transformative perspective, not fix and change, I'm for that.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the ones I've seen out there, they kind of put this carrot in front of you, and like, oh, you can be this way, you can be this way, be this way. For the next course, if you really want to be this way, right? And that's I do have a pretty strong view about some of those people.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some of their ads, and kind of disappointing. And it's very opportunistic,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the time of COVID and things like that. I I usually don't. Every time I see ads that point to the situation about COVID and why they should do their programs, it's like, man, you're taking something and you're using the whole situation as an opportunity you know to gain participants in your programs. Not cool. Not cool.
What would you say if someone would say that that transformation approach is a different thing, but it's just like semantics? Or like,
Huh?
as anyone
Well,
told you back in Thailand, saying that like you're just another like motivational speaker, self-help person,
yeah,
because
yeah, I
it's
know that.
conflated. So how do we distinguish them apart?
Um, so first of all, whoever would say that is because they don't know what they're saying, right? And it could easily, I could get the conflation. It's all the same. As a matter of fact, people use the word transformation for fixing and changes, which is
Mm-hmm.
not the way we. This is not the way we relate to transformation, right? So I don't mind. All my life as a leader, that's always been my experience.
Mm-hmm.
People will say, oh, it's all the same thing, but uh, even when we used to talk to people before they did the program, that's what they used to tell us. Well, what's different, right? Because they don't see any different, but there's a big difference. And and I can't say it all now. It's just that,
Mm-hmm.
see, one thing about transformation and is really about being related to the way things are, okay? Being related to what's so. And people are not related to what's so. And so it's a very simple sentence for me to say that, but it'll take a long time for people to actually get it. That their life is the way it is. And it's the way it is because it's their life. And anything that they think it should be another way, it's just a fantasy, right? Like you're sitting right now. Can you think of any other place that you should be other than where you are? No. And no matter how hard you think that you should be on the beach drinking a beer, you'll still be sitting in front of a computer right now. Nothing's going to change because this is what's so. This is how it is. And how it is right now shouldn't be any other way than the way it is because it is the way it is. Right? Just like people's lives are their lives. Whatever they have is whatever they have. And when you seek for something else other than what's so or what is for you, then it just leaves you dissatisfied in life. That's the biggest source of dissatisfaction. Right? And and then here are programs that says, you can you can change your life. You can have it a different way. So it feeds that fantasy of, oh, I should be more successful than where I am right now. I should have a better body than the body I have right now. I should have a better life than the life I have right now. So that there's a whole industry created from that. You can have this, right? Rather than, you know, if you're transformed and you can be just the way you are, and you're free. There's nothing else. There's nothing to change. There's nothing to fix. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's
That's.
the.
I know that was a bit too
I mean,
short.
no. I mean, it's okay. I'm like, it's just like, what would you say to a person like me who
Yeah.
wants to be, I don't know, like the next Joe Rogan, or I want to run different types of companies. I want to be in the cover of Time for like changing the
Sure.
world, or like making, like creating forests from nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong. I do the same thing. I want different things also.
Mm,
Okay. But it's the context in which you create that. Okay. Right now it's perfect that you're like that, and that your computer is lagging. Right.
mm,
That's so. That's just what it is. Okay.
mm.
And you're committed to something else. Great. Take action consistent to that commitment. But the way it
I
is,
can't
it's
accept
perfect.
myself right now.
Yes, yes. But see, the context in which people want to go somewhere is, this is not it. Over there is it,
Mm,
right? So the whole time there's dissatisfaction, there's stress, there's all of these things, and they'll never get that. You never get to the other side. It's a fantasy, because
mm,
wherever you are, there's always the thing that's further. Okay.
mm,
And when you're doing that from the context of, I have to change this because here there's something wrong right now, you will never be happy. You will
mm,
never be satisfied. So it's context is decisive.
mm.
I want to be Joe Rogan. I want to have $100 million contract with Spotify too. But this is perfect. I'm in Poblacion in my second bedroom,
Mm.
talking to you in my shorts.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Mm,
So yeah, it's the context in which we create what's next for us,
mm,
right? It's perfect, and then what's next? Rather than, this is wrong and I gotta fix this. That's because I want to get there to fix this.
mm,
Okay, and there are a lot of quote unquote self-help
mm,
people that's what they're selling. Something's wrong with your life right now. You can do better. Something's wrong with your relationship right now. You can do better. Something's wrong with your finances right now. You can do better.
yeah.
So in that context, it's a losing proposition, my dear.
One thing that I'd like to share that is I observe in law school is
Yeah.
the idea that your life right now in law school, reading these books and stuff, is not it. It's when you become a lawyer, that's it. And then seeing a couple of my friends become lawyers and then they're still
Yeah.
unhappy, it's like, well,
Yeah.
probably when I become Supreme Court justice,
Yes.
then
Oh
I'm
no. When I become no, when I become a partner, then that's it. And then when they become a partner, oh no, when I'm on my own, no partners, then that's it. When I become Supreme Court, it's never gonna end. That's the carrot, and that's what I'm saying. Most people's life are lived like that. Okay, that's why we have the kind of world we have. And for me to get to that future, I'll do whatever it takes, even to a point where making you wrong because you're in my way.
Mm. Awesome.
Right?
I see.
Yeah. And that's what needs to transform, right?
Mm.
People being fully present and being with what's so in their life, and it's perfect. And then there's what's next. Then now it's a game to play, but it's no longer something that I have to have in order to fix what's wrong with me.
Mm. I see.
So,
Awesome
yeah,
sauce.
big difference. Big difference. It's a small thing, but it's a difference between fire and firefly.
Mm.
It's
Got it.
one little word, but it's a whole different world
Mhm.
altogether, right?
Yeah.
So,
All right. I just like to shift gears a bit.
yeah,
Because
sure.
right now, like the third topic that I proposed, I'm actually super bored about it. Like advice on gaining peace of mind during this time. I don't know if I want to talk about it, but I'm. Do you want to talk about it? I'm just being honest.
Well, we kind of started it already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Look, obviously the times that we're living in right now is a disruption. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I mean we have to be and act in a different way. But this is how things are, and we have to be with how things are. This is what's so, and wishing that it's different, that it should be different, or being upset that it is like this does not change anything. What so is what so. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the way things are is the way things are, and people got to get that. Got to get to the just simply get related to the facts, to how life is, rather than how life should be. Just big difference, right? So, you know, our lives is just a series of what so. I get sick. Okay, that's what so. Somebody dies that I know. Okay, that's what so. Okay. And then we add our interpretation about all of that. Something's wrong. It shouldn't be. It's bad. Okay. And we are related to our interpretation, not what so. And if people can just relate to, oh, okay, I have to work at home now. Okay, that's what so. What can I create now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How can I deal with this? How can I just be with this and do whatever it takes, such that this experience of what so that I'm dealing with right now doesn't kill me, doesn't depress me, doesn't bring me down. It's what we add to what so that gets us down. It's what gets us upset. It's what gets us depressed.
Yeah.
Okay? It's what gets us disempowered.
Yeah.
And
The observation I just want to share is that,
yeah,
uh, like, I've been treating the pandemic as if like it shouldn't be like this. Because of this,
yeah,
I couldn't be in Korea right now coaching students, all that stuff, and having like
yeah,
initiatives. And I just felt that that perspective was paralyzing for me, because
yeah,
I was just saying that, oh, only if this didn't happen. But the thing is, it did happen. And
yeah.
if I just keep on forcing that this shouldn't have happened, I can't move on to the next thing. Get like with that attachment to a certain reality that isn't really what's happening right now. So
Yeah, that's I mean that's a fantasy that you're engaging in, and you're related to it as if it's real.
mm,
You're related to it as if it's what's so. It's a fact. What's so is what's so. We got locked down. Businesses are closing down. Yes, we have impacted. We don't have a lot of mobility. These are all what so. Our way of making income may have been lessened. Or some people may have lost all of it. That's what
mm,
so. And it's neither good or bad. It's neither right or wrong. It's neither should be or shouldn't be. It is the facts.
mm,
Okay, and then we add all those things like, oh, I shouldn't have been. I should have been locked up. I shouldn't have been locked up. I could have done this. I could have done that. All of that's fantasy because it's not happening.
mm.
Okay, but yet the impact of those conversations in our lives is humongous, humongous. It
Have
this
you
it
seen
creates
have you observed
dissatisfaction.
yourself having that conversation and how you get impacted by that, like for you?
Sure, sure, all the time, of course, all the time. But fortunately, I'm able to catch it. Right? I mean, I'm not immune to that. I'm a human being, right? The key is being able to, oh wow, okay, I'm in a conversation with myself about how things should be, rather than just dealing with this. And if you deal with what's in front of you, then you're free, and know that you have the power. You're empowered that you can find solutions to whatever you're dealing with. And I mean, that's the only thing that's the one thing I could just say. If people just get related to how things are, rather than how they think it should be, okay? And you know, this is something's wrong here. This is wrong. It shouldn't be like this. What difference will that make? See, what difference did that thought that you have about you should have been in Korea doing this and things like that? No, the point is you're still there, right? It just drags you down, and it takes away your power. It takes away your passion. It just That's the impact, right?
Yeah,
And yeah, it's kind of simple, but it's not easy to do.
right.
Because
Simple, not
most people,
easy.
yeah, because that's only because most people um, can't tell the difference between, you know, what is in front of them, like what's real, and whatever interpretation or meaning that they're making about what's in front of them,
Mhm.
right? And you know, this is something that you already know. So I mean, you distinguish the difference between what happened and your story about what happened. And if people can just separate that, then it's a big difference.
Right.
They can really be free.
Thank you so much for sharing that again. Wisdom.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to go on to the last part. So
Yeah.
this is the conversation I've had with you. So for me, I have a big goal. So this is episode
Yes.
24, and my goal is on the 100th episode. I have a Hollywood celebrity as a guest
Mm.
in this show, and I was asking you if you could coach me or like give me some, I don't know, perspective or advice in terms of how to get there. And then you said
Yeah.
we can have a different conversation about it.
Yes. Because I have to think about it.
Okay, got it. I see.
I don't have an answer except maybe who do you want? Be clear about who do you want, because once you're clear about who you want, then you can work backwards and find pathways in getting to that point. Right? I mean,
Mm,
I said, hang on, we're going to have a conversation because I'm thinking about certain people that are maybe like links, steps, right?
mm,
Remember, I've been out of LA for so long right now that even the ones I knew don't have the links anymore. But I
mm,
still have maybe like intermediate links, so that if you can talk to this person, maybe they know somebody else, and
mm,
maybe they can get to the agent of this person. You know, so I want you to be clear, like who do you want, right?
mm,
And you know, maybe give like option one, option two, option three, and then from there really create like, okay, who knows this? Who do we know that
mm.
knows somebody that may be linked? I'm thinking of a couple of people. But you know, that's why I
Okay.
said let's talk about it later.
Yeah. Well, what do you call this? I mean, that's it. Like one thing that I haven't identified yet is
Yeah.
who do I want, and like who would
Yes.
be like the 10 people that I'd love to have. And I think
Yeah.
that's the first step. I think that's.
That's, I mean, yeah, the first step is really being clear about the result that you are intending to produce, which is
Mhm,
who is this person? Okay, obviously, you're going to give yourself some options, right?
mhm,
You know, option one, option two, option three, maybe your top five or something like that.
mhm,
And, you know, and your evaluation of who needs to come here is, again, what fits whatever it is that you're creating in this channel, right? What is the conversation that they can contribute that fulfills on your intention for this channel, so that determines who the person is, not just because they're celebrity, you know, they qualify, right? You really want to get that person contributes to whatever it is that you're intending for this channel, right? That, you know, they will provide some conversation for that, and that eliminates a lot of people already, and that might open up like your eyes to, oh yeah, this person. And you know, you can do your research, like look at the you know, the internet, and see what people are doing, and you know what things are they're, you know, what are they involved in, and things like that, and then maybe they can talk about that, right?
mhm.
So that's
Okay.
the first thing, and then once you're clear about that, then we can talk about, okay, who knows whom, you know, who has been there recently, who worked in that industry that I still know, that maybe they can point to certain things. But you know, we'll probably get to find a way to their agent, right? And then you know, present it, or if they have a production company that they're associated with, you know, then you know, write emails and those kinds of things. But
Yeah.
that's why I said let's have a conversation later, because I'm not really, it's not really clear for me
Mhm,
yet.
mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see the
And
big picture, but not.
one thing I've observed right now is all I want to do is to have like a celebrity, and it's 100th episode, and virtual.
Mhm.
What's up, people? I'm the shit. Yo, what's up? What is up? Does your podcast have a Hollywood celebrity? No, I'm better than you. I mean, but I still don't know what I want. Like, but I mean that's just sound advice. Like, I want to be clear on what's the intent of the
Yeah,
show, who does it serve,
yeah,
and who are these
yes,
people, and maybe that's the first.
yes.
I think
Yeah.
like I've been goal setting, which is good, I'm observing now that that goal is a bit ego driven, and
Yes.
I just wanna show everybody that I kick ass for some like security yet
Okay.
to
Well,
be addressed.
if you were in my courses, that's the first thing I will kick your ass on, right?
Okay.
Because that way of being is really what's been contributing to the way things are in our country. Like people are
Mm-hmm.
just so driven by ego system awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And inside of that, everybody's just for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to learn how to begin to uh, start thinking differently from an eco perspective. You know,
Mm-hmm.
really looking at like you have a platform here where you can actually really make a difference with
Mm-hmm.
people, and so you want to be clear about what difference do I want to make, who am I speaking to, so that the people that you bring in are consistent to that intention, including whoever the celebrity is. They're not just going to be talking about what they're doing now, like their the movies that they're doing, but maybe they're doing some kind of a project that actually is aligned with this channel, right? And that could make a difference. So
Awesome.
that's my first thing for you, is like really get clear. And
Mm-hmm.
this is your 23rd episode, so you should be pretty clear now what direction this is going to go.
Well, I just want to share. I
Uh-huh.
want to
Yeah,
share.
let me know.
I I'm doing this as practice. So I
Uh-huh.
my perspective on this is that as I'm playing the long game of like just
Hmm.
wanting to see how much I improve uh
Yeah.
along the way. So this is the 24th episode, and then I'm just super curious and intrigued about what would the 572nd episode would look like, or the
Yeah.
1003 third episode would look like. So
Yeah, you'll be unrecognizable.
or dead.
You will, yeah, you won't know yourself by that time. If you look at the way you are now, and like, I mean, you should have seen my first video that I did, that I did. I was so nervous, because I'd never spoke to just a camera, right?
Mhm.
But imagine if you have 500 episodes, and by that time you'll be so comfortable, and not only that, you'll be really clear what this is all about, that you know everything going to start aligning itself and start falling into place. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, you're here for the long game,
Mhm.
but always be clear about the context in which you're doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, yeah, and I'm sure I'm sure, knowing who you are, that this is not just about you. I know you said that, but I know this is not just about you.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, what I want to do is I want to document like like different conversations and then see like behavior changes and patterns along the way.
Yeah,
And maybe this could be an example of just being who you are, even if like your school tells you that you suck and you should do this and you should do that. I think like
yeah,
really documenting yourself is something that would be beneficial for you in the long term, even if like society
yeah.
looks down upon you and all that stuff. So uh
Yeah, well, I mean, this is let this be an expression of your self-expression, right?
mhm. Yeah.
And nobody can tell you how to do this. This is you.
Yeah. This is the
You
Bolo
do,
Pascual show.
you do it. Was it Oscar Wilde that said, "You do you, everybody else is taken,"
Mhm.
right? So, you do the Bolo Pascual show the way Bolo Pascual
Mhm.
shows.
So Aljur, where can we
Yeah.
find you? In social media, how can we reach you? How
Well, I have those two YouTube channels. Shift 101 is just myself, and then uh, starting tomorrow night. Wow, it is tomorrow night. We're launching the third conversation, and that's me with Honey, Francis, RV, and Wang. So that they can do that, or people can just look me up, f- make add me as a friend on Aljor Perreras on Facebook.
that
So
is
I do
awesome.
I do have an Instagram, but I don't use it very much.
Mm.
I'm new in the social media game, so
Mm.
this is I'm on my learning curve right now. So
Awesome.
I'm so
We're
used to
learning
the
together.
analog. I'm so used to the analog game, getting walking in front of the room and
Two mics,
yeah, two
a
mics
hundred
and you know
people.
all the 100 people, 1,000 people. Uh, but yeah, this is great. I mean, I've been doing a lot of classes on Zoom. I'm currently in the midst of a breakthrough leadership program right now here. Um, that they're mostly Filipinos, but I have participants from Australia, Hong Kong, and Singapore also. So it's been working out. I love this new platform of Zoom and see if I c- how see if we can really create more things with this. But so
Mm.
far it's been well. Yeah,
Awesome.
I've led like I've been in 2 day programs, like straight 2 day
Mm.
programs, 8 hours, 8 hours. I didn't think that was possible for me, but you know what? It worked on
Mm.
Zoom. You know, 4 sessions, about 2 hours each session with the breaks in between. So,
Mm.
so
I just want to
good.
put this on record. I trust Aljur with my life. Like this person, like is the real deal. Like I swear to God, I just want to say that, like on record.
uh,
And before we end,
thanks,
I
Bolo.
just want to ask three authors or three books you'd like to recommend to people
3 books I'd like to recommend. Ooh, you got me there.
or authors.
I'm reading right now. I'm in the midst right now of reading Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's good, and read anything that Werner Erhard wrote. Okay, and let's see. I'm in the midst of reading. One of the methodologies that I've been involved with in the past 4 years is one called program called Leading from the Emerging Future, and the person that wrote it is this MIT professor named Otto Scharmer,
Mm.
and that really it's consistent with the work that I've done in the past, except it creates it gives it a different perspective, a different layer, and this is the this is where I got the conversation of ego system awareness to ecosystem awareness. So it's called Theory U.
Mm-hmm.
That's the book. Okay, and then like I said, I'm in the middle of Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. Pretty interesting book.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. There we have it. Thank you so much for being here, Aljur.
Hey, thanks for the
Thank you so much for your
conversation.
time.
It's been a while since I've talked to you.
It's been a while.
I think the last time I saw you was at a party at your house.
Right. I
That's a long time ago.
uh
Maybe 6 7 years ago.
yeah.
So thanks for having me.
All
And
right. It's my
have
pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. Like, I just really want to thank you for your generosity, for spending your time. Guys, I just want
sure.
to say this conversation for other people is like $1,000,000, and we have it here for free. I'm just kidding. No, but it's priceless. I'm just saying, an interaction with you, Aljur, is indeed priceless, and I just want to thank you, and I can't
Yeah.
thank you enough for that. So,
Thanks.
that
Thank you, Bolo.
fourth episode. See you all next time.
All right. Cool.